It's Bobbbaaaay, and we back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Purpose in the Youth podcast with your favorite bearded man, the one, the only Bobbbaaaay. Today on the show, I got my man Indy. What's going on?
What's up, baby?
How you doing?
I'm good.
Just straight back from New Jersey. Just landed at LAX. Back on the West Coast.
Man, it's not as warm as I thought it was gonna be.
How were your holidays? Good?
Yeah, they were great.
Yeah?
They were great. It's good to be home.
You were
Solid
cold.
family. Freezing.
You were cold.
I got nothing. I didn't even get to play pond hockey.
Oh, man, come on.
So-
Why not?
Well, no. So it snowed like in the last week, I'd say.
Damn.
But the first 4 days, it was enough to be cold enough to play pond hockey.
Yeah.
And then I didn't play. I was like, oh, whatever. I'll get to it. It's gonna be cold for 2 weeks. And
We
then
got
it
plenty
snowed.
of time. We got plenty of time.
And then the rinks, the ponds were covered. Couldn't play.
Tough, man. I'm happy to say that I could be wrong, but I think this will be the first winter I ever miss completely, like the cold weather.
Yeah,
and
I
it's
can't say.
great. I'll take this LA weather all day with the sun all day.
Well,
Not to flex on the people listening or watching, but man, I'll take this weather all day long.
Dude, I moved to LA to get out of the cold, and I literally think I've spent half of my time in New Jersey since I've had a
come
place
on.
here. It's terrible.
Come on.
It's terrible.
Put a flight restriction. I cannot go back to the east. If you guys need me, come out west.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm not coming back.
Well, yeah, I mean,
You do what you got to do.
Yeah,
You do what you got to do. Who
Whatever.
is Indy today, and how young is he?
He's 21,
21, man.
which is an interesting feeling. I feel like for a 21-year-old, I definitely don't party as much as a normal 21-year-old would.
That's not a
I'm
bad
kind-
thing.
I'm kind
it's
of
not
like-
a bad thing because when I was 21, man, I was in the bars.
Dude,
I
I
was
was-
sending shots. I hate to be completely honest, but that's how I was.
Yeah, he's 21, and he's chilling, happy as hell,
Yeah,
doing what I love.
and that's important.
Yeah.
Recording artist,
Yeah, recording artist,
making hits.
trying to make hits. I signed a distribution deal with Sony, May of this year is my first deal.
Congrats.
Thank
That's
you.
huge.
Yeah, it's dope. We've just been putting out a bunch of music,
Yeah.
and not really trying too hard.
Yeah.
Just
let it be organic.
yeah,
Let it be natural.
Yeah, I moved to LA this year, so I
Mhm.
built a studio in my house and just make music all day. And whenever I like something and think it's good, I put it out.
That's amazing.
That's it. I just have fun, dude.
That's amazing.
That's all it is.
That is truly the dream in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, the dream would be to make about $10 million more than I make right now, but
It's a process.
yeah, it's
right?
a process.
It's a
man.
process.
It's-
Take me back to the New Jersey days though. Before we get into the music world, what was it like growing up in New Jersey? What part of New Jersey?
I'm from right central Jersey, about 10 minutes west of the beach.
Okay.
It's a little small town. It's called Howell.
How?
It's in a big county. It's called Monmouth County. There's I couldn't tell you how many towns are in it, but it's massive.
Okay.
And I just grew up same house my whole life. The house that I grew up in.
I think we talked
my
about this
dad
before
built
because
this house.
I was the same. I grew up in the same house as well. So it's funny.
So
how that happens.
my dad actually contracted the house that I grew up in my whole life, which is pretty dope. They still live there now.
Damn.
I kind of still live there now because,
Yeah.
like I said before, I spend half my time here, half my time there.
Yeah.
But I grew up, just my best friend was my neighbor, so I never had to leave my street.
That's so
I was never
dope.
allowed to leave my street. I just
You're staying here.
kicked it. My mom worked at the school I went to, so I was always around my family and friends. Just hanging out, doing
Yeah.
my thing.
Any siblings?
I have one older brother. He's
Okay.
23.
Right.
Right? Yeah,
So
he's 23. He's gonna be 24 in a month.
Okay,
A
so
month from.
That's a good gap to have between brothers. I'm sure. Was
perfect.
he giving you
no, dude.
He
Me and
wasn't
my
beating
brother.
on you?
Yo, no one believes me when I say this, but I couldn't tell you 5 instances where me and my brother got mad at each other. I swear on my life.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow.
It was one of those things where
Parents disciplined you guys. You guys are gonna be best friends. And
we just me and my brother are polar opposites. So
Okay.
which is a good
that's probably
thing.
a good thing then.
Yeah. So we kind of just found ourselves just doing our own things, and we liked the same things. We both played hockey growing up.
Mm-hmm.
But we both had different friend groups and both kind of had different interests growing up.
Yeah.
So when we were together at home, it was we just basically talked about hockey and sports and kicked it. It was never the battle of the brothers,
Yeah.
fighting each other. We both loved WWE wrestling. When we were 5 years old. Like, just did the same, did the same thing.
How big was hockey in your life?
Crazy.
I realized that if somebody played hockey when they were younger,
Yeah.
it was a commitment. It wasn't where you just played hockey once, twice a week. It was travel 7 days a week.
I probably spent from the time I was 6 years old until I was 18, like 5 days a week, 6 days a week. It was
a commitment.
my whole
it's a
life,
grind.
dude.
It is a grind.
It was my whole life. I never 10-year-old me would kick myself in the nuts for not being as much into hockey as I was when I was younger. He'd be so disappointed.
Yeah.
That's whatever. I'm chilling.
What do you think you learned on the ice that you were able to translate into your life?
You need a team to succeed. No, you can't. You need a team that's as committed as you are, or you are going to be in last place.
Yeah.
Which
it has a
is,
full team sport.
including the coach, equipment manager, fucking everyone. You need a full team in order to really make it happen.
Yeah.
And that's the only way that that's the way I grew up. Hockey is like that sport where even if you have one standout, if you have one dude that's better than everyone, you could have a team of dudes that are half as good as him and they're gonna win because
they'll beat you down the ice.
Yeah,
you need to have a full team, Mighty Ducks. You need to have the flying V.
You need to have the flying V.
You were the leader of the pack, flying the V.
I was the. I definitely was not the leader. I was no captain. But with that being said, I definitely. I was a good hockey player.
I believe.
I'm not even.
I've seen some of your videos.
You see my tweet the other day?
I've seen the videos. I did the research. You were nice.
Yeah.
We moved on to bigger and better things as time went. Clearly.
Yeah. Well, my dad always says that he wishes he could go back to when I was too young to even tie my own skates. Because I think we're in too deep now. Where he's like, can we just go back to where we were worried about if we were gonna get a new stick as opposed to paying bills this month. So
my father's the same way. When I moved out here, my sister was moving down to South Carolina. There was two of us, and whenever I talk to him, I try to avoid the conversation because I can hear that he truly misses it. But he'll talk about the times when it was just me and my sister living under the same house as them.
Dude, and it's funny. My dad, my parents are my whole family is very close. I have a very reserved kind of just quiet to ourselves family. My parents really only hang out with one friend each. And me and my brother kind of had a small friend group. So I grew up in a very family oriented house.
Yeah.
Like I said, my mom worked at the school that I went to my whole life.
Yeah. So she always was watching.
She was always there. And I definitely was sometimes not a great reflection of that. But I was just a little troublemaker.
Yeah.
Not bad, but definitely messed up a couple times.
What do you think your parents taught you that you've carried with you?
Man, my mom, I would say the most important thing that my mom taught me was just put other people before you. Do as much as you can to show other people that you care, and just to always be honest, and to never be harsh. My mom is crazy selfless. Dude, no idea. And that was such a crazy example growing up, especially because I was always around it because she worked.
You see her every day.
I see her every day. So I see the way she interacts with other people. And it was as a little kid, that gets molded.
She doesn't have to
head.
directly tell you, but you seeing her actions, that's instantly gonna
play
into your growing.
The reason I hold the door open for people, when I'm walking in front of someone in a store or something, is because my mom. And it I think I learned that when I was 18. I was like, holy shit, I think I do that because
of her.
Saw my mom do it all the time. And my dad, oh man, he definitely already knows the answer to this question, and I don't.
He's like, I taught you this, I taught you that.
Do what you love. Do what you love. It's important to be happy and to just do exactly what you want to do.
Yeah.
Or you'll be miserable.
Yeah.
And that's what he taught me. And that's, Yeah.
It stayed with you.
That's my dad's my best friend.
You guys clearly had a bond because at one point you both was it when you had an app, right?
Yeah.
Was it with him?
No.
It wasn't with him at all.
No. So
let's get into that because at one point I know we've talked about it before. You had an app.
Yeah.
an
So
idea.
when I was in high school, my neighbor,
The best friend.
So he was like 25 and he just he went away to college. He was like a computer science engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And basically like we would just go and kick it at his house and just work. He was coding an app like the app that we designed worked is like you go into any store and it uses like geolocation to find items in a store. So like you have a shopping list on your phone and your phone uses a map to show you where all the items in the store
Genius.
are.
So you just look at your phone. It's like walk 10 feet, grab this item. Next.
And it was like one of those things where I would just go to his house and like we would just like have a beer and kick it and he would always be working. And I'd always be like, what are you doing? And he would just kind of explain it to me. Like he worked for Dow Jones, Jet.com, like a bunch of huge companies. And he just would like code on his free time. And he would just teach me like little basic coding stuff. And then he just asked me to help him do graphic design work and like basically little contractual stuff. Like he had a couple people that he was helping like design websites for. So I was just doing back end work for his company. The company that he owned was called Forefront Web Technologies.
What's it called?
Forefront Web Technologies.
Okay.
And I like made all the logos, like did all of his things. So I learned like a crazy business mind
Quick.
so fast.
Yeah.
And I was like just around him and he had a bunch of different projects that he was working on. And the one that like helped him a lot was called Simply Shop.
Simply Shop.
And so we just basically worked all summer and just hung out. And
How old were you at the time on this?
I was like, I think it was my senior year summer going into freshman year of college.
Okay, so like 18, 19.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah. So
Wow.
it was like, aside from like hanging around, his name is Travis, actually.
Shout out to Travis.
Shout out to Travis. Travis is a real one. He's the smart dude.
Genius.
If you need a website, he's got you.
Here we go.
So we just basically hung out, kicked it, had beers. Like the town that I lived in was like a very open, like not farm, but like all the houses are spread out. And I grew up on a dead end street with 8 houses.
Okay.
So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So 8 houses on my street. Wow. I can't believe
I had to count it out.
But everyone has about like an acre of property.
Mm-hmm.
And so he actually like comes full circle because the only reason I ever played hockey was because Travis played hockey and he needed defensemen. So he basically was like, you're going to play hockey I'm going to make you look like a cone and practice on you. And then I was like, holy shit, this is fun as hell. I'm going to play. So my brother was a goalie, I wanted to be a goalie at first, and it lasted like 16 minutes.
That was it. You're like, I'm good.
Nah, they put me in the equipment and I fell flat on my face.
No.
Yeah. I tried to like, someone slid, like they shot a puck and they slid it on the concrete. And I just was like, this ain't for me.
I'm good.
And then we hung out all the time. Like we would always play street hockey, and the kid who was my best friend, Frankie, shout out Frankie, he plays hockey too. So we just all played together. Like it was me, Travis, my brother, Frankie, and then Frankie's friends from school. We all just because I had a dead end street. There no cars.
Nobody's coming down there unless
that
they
shit
live
was
there.
a street hockey.
That's
paradise,
so
man.
ideal for a kid.
It was
so ideal if you're a kid.
It was so tight, and it was just a cool environment.
Yeah.
And going back to like working with Travis, like I learned a lot about business, like being around him, just like hanging out and watching him do his thing. And like he had companies that he was starting, and like it was little startups. Like it was him in his house. And that he actually, when I would help him work, like I said, he grew up on the other side of the street, 3 houses down. And then he actually rented the house next door to me. So he moved out of his parents' house when he graduated.
And literally across the street.
He moved next door to me. And then
Wow.
we just kicked it every day. He used to have parties. We would hang out at his house. And like I learned a lot about like starting a business from him.
Yeah. I mean, that's the best way to learn is actually getting involved.
Yeah.
You can sit and read
and
articles online or books, but
so he sold a couple of his projects, and I just like watching him do that. I was like, holy shit, you can get rich really easily.
Yeah. But he clearly wasn't doing it because he's like, oh, I'm going to get rich off this. He was doing it because he saw a vision for it, or it was also because he loved coding.
Honestly, he just was bored. He's a genius, dude.
Yeah.
He's a genius.
Yeah.
And like I remember when we betaed Simply Shop. We were at a Lowe's in my hometown, and he had this app that geolocation, if I'm not mistaken, is latitude and longitude up to 6 decimal points. So it's within 2 feet.
Okay, it's pretty.
So like that's
pretty damn
like
close.
if you're like going apples to oranges, like literally in a store, like that's close as hell.
Yeah.
So I remember like we did it, and he like pulls out his phone, and we're like walking down the store, and he's like clicking it, and it's moving every like foot that we move, and he was like, "Yo,
wow,
it works."
That's amazing. Because would you guys have to like build relationships with Lowe's to give?
No. So what I did for him was I did all of the front end app design work for him. So like I used Photoshop to develop the different screens and pages for his project. Mm-hmm. And then he took all of the images that I made and coded them to make them come to life. So I basically like saw an idea
brought it to life, and then he just
like a color scheme and all that stuff, and he brought it to life.
Wow.
And I think he's started like 5 more projects since.
So he just keeps going.
And he's got like right now I think he works for a company called Unroll Me. Like he has a full-time job. Like he still works, crazy. And he actually, shout out to Travis, he just got engaged on New Year's Eve, I think.
Wow, that's a hell of a day to do it.
But he works like crazy. He's like, he took me to he worked for a company called Jet. I don't know, have you ever heard of Jet?
No.
It's like a online wholesale retailer. Okay. So it's like a Costco but online kind of sort of thing, mixed with like Amazon. Like you can get a bunch of shit like TVs and whatever you need. Yeah. But they had it at wholesale prices. So he was one of like the head developers at Jet, and I remember he took me to the office one day. And this was like the first ever time, like I come from a family that owns a business, but this was the first ever time that I had seen an inside scoop on like corporate America. Mm-hmm. And like there was like a full bar in the office where like literally employees during the day are drinking beer and just kicking it. Like they're
getting their work done, but they're enjoying
studios,
themselves.
like just an unbelievable work environment. And they were on the waterfront in Hoboken. Like they had the whole view of New York City. Like it was insane. And like he just was like, yeah,
this is it.
Like he's a Mark Zuckerberg in personality wise. Like none of it phases him. Yeah. Like he just works.
Yeah.
So I credit a lot of my just
that's a huge experience.
Skills.
Yeah. That's huge to learn that going into your freshman year of college too, to get some type of experience, to work with somebody, to see a product come to life, but also so successful that it ends up selling, and seeing that whole entire process.
Yeah, I mean, he's like, just to see the way that he went about doing things in terms of his business, like it was just so to the point. Like he just did what he wanted. He did what he was comfortable. He was executed, and he worked all the time. Like I spent like a lot of my days in that summertime, like just all day, just working, having fun. Like him telling me he had an idea, or like we had another partner, his name was Mitchell, and we basically just did this all for fun. And it was like me just being there. Like I was just a neighbor. Like I would go and get on food runs or like do whatever just little stuff for them. Like I ended up like bringing my TV from my bedroom into their house because they set up the office in the house.
That's amazing.
So we just hung out, and
that's super dope.
It was tight.
So you went on to college. Where'd you go?
I went to West Virginia.
West Virginia.
I actually have been to 3 different colleges.
You transferred around.
I transferred around. So I went to West Virginia.
Okay.
Then I was there for a semester. I actually went there to play hockey. I committed to play Division I club hockey at West Virginia.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah.
So you went there for a little bit. Then where'd you go?
Then I went to I moved home because I hated West Virginia. Mm-hmm. And I just went to community college for the spring and summer semester.
Okay.
I did god awful at West Virginia. Like
you were just having too much fun.
Dude, you have no idea how bad I did at West Virginia. But it wasn't even, no, I didn't party at all. I was just miserable.
Okay, just wasn't the right environment. It wasn't the right environment.
I told my dad when my parents dropped me off, like, when the day that they dropped me off at college, I literally told my dad this story like 2 months ago, for the first time ever. He thought it was funny as hell. So the whole way there, I was like talking him up. Like, well, first of all, let's go back like a day. Mm-hmm. The day that I was leaving for college, we were packing the car up to get on the road, and my parents had packed all of my suitcases and all that stuff in the car, and the last thing was my hockey bag. And I looked at my dad and I was like, I'm not going to play hockey. And he was like, what do you mean? And my parents... You
were already committed to that team.
I was already committed to play
club.
For that team.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad was so crazy accepting that he didn't even question me once. Like, it was like the conversation didn't even happen. Like, we just got in the car and drove.
And you left it there.
I literally left my hockey stuff at home so I didn't play. Like, I forced myself to leave it at home. So
it wasn't even a question.
All I wanted to do was go to school. I didn't want to play hockey. I just wanted to learn. Like, I just wanted to be in an environment.
You were ready to leave that in the past, like go on to the next chapter and start.
Yeah, I knew I wasn't going to play
new.
pro hockey. Like, I never even thought about it. Like, I'm too small. Like, I'm not built the way that pro hockey players are built. And I didn't want to spend 4 years like playing hockey, because I knew I would have given everything to that.
Yeah.
And like,
there's no end goal. There's it ends and that's it.
Yeah. Like, the craziest part about this is my neighbor, Frankie, who's my best friend, we went to West Virginia together to play hockey.
Oh, so you pull up and you don't even have the bag.
But like, he was like, dude, do your thing. Like, it's all good. We were roommates.
Wow.
The first time we ever tied skates, we were sitting next to each other on my front porch. And we were like talking when growing up, like, yo, how crazy would it be if we went to college together? And I remember he got into West Virginia and I was like, yo, that's tight. Like, West Virginia, that's a sick school. I remember seeing like Huey. Yeah. And like, that's how I knew about West Virginia.
He was still there.
Because he was still there. And like, I was like, I texted him one day and I was like, yo, I know this is like your thing, but do you care if I go to West Virginia?
You hadn't applied yet.
No, I got it in.
You got in.
I got in. I didn't tell him that I applied. And I got in and I was like, yo, I don't want to take any like shine away from you, but this is a dream that we've had since we were little kids. And like, I think we should do it. And he was like, he came over my house that day and he was like, let's go.
Wow.
He was like, let's do it.
The boys are hitting down.
So we applied. We were roommates. I went there for one whole semester. And it was a crazy experience.
So
like,
what made you want to leave then?
Well, going back to what I was saying to you before, when I just had recently told my dad a story.
Yeah.
So that story was the day that they dropped me off. So we left the day before school started.
Yep.
And then the next day they dropped me off to like move in. And my parents were in their truck, like outside of the dorm. And I was like, outside of the car, and they were inside the car and they were getting ready to pull away. And I was like, guys, like, can we not do this shit? Like, I don't need tears. Like, I'm going to see you in a month and a half. Like, I always tell my parents, like, I hate goodbyes.
Yeah.
It's not that like I'm like emotional like that. I hate extended goodbyes. It's like, dude, I'll see you in a month. Like, goodbye. See you later.
Yeah,
like,
I'll see you later.
But like, I knew in my head, like when my parents pulled away, literally out loud, I said to myself, I'm so fucked. And like an RA was standing behind me, like in the doorway, like welcoming students in. And I like said it like out loud, like, cause I knew I didn't want to be there. Like I knew I wasn't going to be a college student, even though I wanted to learn. The only reason I went to West Virginia was because I was trying to make other people happy. And I was absolutely not living for myself, which is fine. Like it took myself.
You were trying to follow what everybody else is doing.
Well,
I didn't. Also, your best friend.
No. My parents, family members, just like
I get it. I just wanted, because everybody's like, go to college. That's
and
literally
it wasn't like step. It wasn't my whole mentality. Like the whole time wasn't screw college. I don't want to go to college. I just didn't know better. I grew up in an environment where it was like people were like, so where are you going to college? What's your plan?
Yeah.
What do you want to major in?
It wasn't
that I never thought like I don't want to go to college. It was just like
that's what
I have no idea.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what I want to do. And my uncle owns a funeral home back in New Jersey, and I grew up working there, like from like 12 to like 18.
That's a crazy environment.
Maybe like, well, I would work like when I was 12, like I was just like vacuuming the carpets and stuff, just doing little work. And then like it transitioned into like learning about the business. And my uncle is like, if you need a businessman, like an entrepreneurial mind, like he's the smartest dude in the world. Mm-hmm. And like that's where I get my, and my entrepreneurial mindset is like a lot from him. But anyway, I worked there. Like I was so young that I just didn't know anything else. And I remember when I was 17, he got me a job as an intern, and I worked for a state senator in their office, and I just answered phones. And like the person that I worked for was amazing. Like she was unbelievable.
Good experience.
Yeah, her name's Jennifer Beck. She's a state senator in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. And I also worked for my uncle's, one of his closest friends who's an assemblyman. They shared the same office, and it's actually in my girlfriend's hometown.
That's crazy how that happens.
But it was before we had even met.
Yeah.
And like, so anyway, I worked there, and it was like my first taste of, because I worked for my uncle. Mm-hmm. So I never knew anything besides like working for someone that like loves you and like wants the best for you, So like it was my first experience of like working in an environment where I was just alone. I was doing my own thing. And I remember like the feeling that I got of like having that job, being like, there's no one here to like tell you like, oh, it's okay, like you'll get it better next time,
Yeah.
And not to say that
it's a mental game. Just
it was a learning experience for me. Like I think that because my uncle got me that internship, and it was an unpaid internship. Like I did it for my college resume. Once again, I had no idea. Like I was just
that's the steps that everybody else is taking. You might as well do the same.
Yeah. And so I did that for a whole summer, and I learned a lot. And I learned a lot about just behind the scenes politics, like how these parties operate. And I went back to the funeral home. I went back to high school. I finished my senior year. Then I worked at the funeral home again my senior summer going into freshman year of college. Mm-hmm. And my plan, when I was 15, my goal was to own my uncle's funeral home. Like that was my end all be all goal was to like,
this is what I'm doing.
Like my uncle's, first of all, when we grew up, we were so tight. Like, like we would go on golf trips.
You guys are a close family.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
You said, you
exactly.
guys are the close
like
family.
the closest family. So like we would go on golf trips, because obviously I was always around. Like I was like, he doesn't have any kids. So I was like his little buddy.
I get it, man.
And I did everything with him. Like we played golf, went to Florida. I went to all of his just little things. Like I did everything with him. Like I was just like his little sidekick. Like I was Robin and he was Batman. And I spent a lot of time with him, and I like was like, it would be so cool if I could be him one day. Yeah. Like he's got
everything.
He's got the nice cars, like cool houses, like, just he made an amazing life for himself. And I was like, I could do that if I do this. And I just learned so much from being around him. Yeah. Like just seeing the way, how hard it takes to work or to get to where you want to be. But that's what I thought I wanted to do.
So it's like through that experience, you learned that, like I'm trying to relate this. So learning that, then getting to college and realizing this is not what I want to do.
Exactly.
It's like, I can't do this. I need to move on to something else.
So when I was, my summer of senior year going into freshman year, my senior year of college, or of high school, I had a best friend of mine who broke his neck in a hockey game and was paralyzed from the neck down. So he was, if I'm not mistaken, it was January 4th or 5th. I believe it was the 4th. And he got hit from behind and paralyzed from the neck down.
Jeez.
And I was on a travel team with him, and he was on like it happened in high school hockey, and we were on the same travel team. And I basically was like, how can I help this kid? Like they crowdsourced for him, and like I think it was like $500,000, like crazy amount of money, like in no time.
Wow.
and he was like trending over Twitter, and I was like, what can I do that's like, instead of me giving $100 to this kid's fund, like what can I do to help him? So I actually wrote a song called Miracles, and I sampled the 1980 Olympic call where they say, "Do you believe in miracles?"
It's right in the beginning of the song, right?
Yeah.
I was listening to it earlier.
So I put it on iTunes, and I donated all the proceeds, like the funds from the song, to his foundation. And still to this day, like we're racking up Spotify plays, like that is all for him.
Wow.
I actually just texted him the other day. I was like, "Yo, like, I just claimed my publishing through Sony, so they're gonna claim that publishing, because I signed 50-50 of my rights to Sony for publishing.
Mm-hmm.
So my A&R was like, we'll just give all that to him, which is so tight. Like,
wow.
And it's got a couple million on different platforms.
I see that the numbers are definitely there. Like,
so
it's
Mike
clearly,
is definitely gonna get hooked up.
Good, as he should. Talk to me about how you got inspired to even start making music then in the first place.
My brother. So my brother's a multi-instrumentalist, and I just grew up like around him. Like he was playing guitar, piano, drums, bass, recording it. Like he had a studio in our house, and I was just around it. Like I thought it was so sick. So I just like would try and get him to teach me how to play guitar, and he was a god awful teacher. So I'd yell at him and be like, "It's your fault that I suck at guitar. Like
teach me, teach me."
So anyway, he just tried to teach me, like, and then I realized that I couldn't do that, and my hands just don't work like his. Yeah. Like, dude, have you ever met my brother?
No. I met people that are good and can make some incredible music, and I'm sitting there like, damn, I can't.
This dude, I swear to God, he's probably made 500 songs in the last 2 years. Like, he just
cranks through it.
Well, he could do every instrument on Logic. And, like, it's dope. It's not just, like, stupid little, like, demo songs that you'd hear on Logic. Like, he makes full fucking songs. And he's, like, bro, to anyone watching, if you think I'm talented, like when I'm on, my brother's gonna be John Mayer one day.
Okay.
Like my brother's gonna be bigger than me one day. I swear to God.
He's a young John Mayer then.
And like my brother doesn't have like the entrepreneurial like mindset really. Like he
just wants to create.
My brother's a really good worker. Like he's really good at learning how to do things and teaching people how to do things. Except me and guitar.
Yeah.
But
not gonna happen.
No, he like if he had someone like a major label that were like, we have $10 million, we're gonna make you an artist, like he would be huge because he can do everything. He's super talented. But anyway, just being around him, like I learned so much about music that I realized if I can't play an instrument, like I have one, it's my voice. Like
that's what I'm gonna do.
And I sucked in the beginning, dude.
I mean, doesn't everybody? Like,
bro, you have no idea.
Not good.
Yeah.
How old were you when you started, like the first song?
The first song I ever made like was way before Miracles, but like I took I stopped making music after, because I had my freshman year of high school, I think.
So you were in high school when you first started?
No, so I started playing the piano like for fun in 6th grade.
Okay.
Like I just like had a piano in my house, so I just like would watch YouTube videos.
Young Elton John just crushing it.
And then my first like girlfriend was like 7th grade, and she loved Justin Bieber, and I thought Justin Bieber was the sickest dude ever, and I was like, I want to be Justin Bieber. Like that's tight.
Yeah.
So I just like started practicing singing, and like I remember the first song I ever recorded myself singing was Kanye West, Heartless.
Wow.
You know that song?
That was the first song you ever recorded?
Yeah, and it was like I was so.
Did you send it to Kanye?
I didn't. I didn't.
I don't think
that probably would have stunted my artist growth. But like I was so embarrassed that I actually went outside and went on the side of my house and put my laptop on top of a garbage can and sang outside so no one would see me.
Somebody would
swear to God. And I just like, so after that, like that was just for fun. Like I was just practicing to listen to myself sing.
Yeah.
And then freshman year, my brother and I, this is crazy. I hope I can find the footage of this one day because it would go viral. We went to high school together, and at like a coffee house show, we played Billionaire by B.O.B. and Bruno Mars, and he played guitar and I sang it.
You sang it?
Yo,
in a coffee shop?
No, it was
coffee house.
It was a like my high school's coffee house shows. So they like the school held these little shows, but it was like at a coffee shop.
Okay.
And like we got trolled at school because they played it on the morning news.
They played on the morning news.
Swear to God.
It was like the big thing in town that you were.
That I was god awful. Yeah.
And you were going by Indy at the time, or you didn't even have a name? Just Ian.
I was like the dude with bangs.
Okay.
Like,
Oh my! I could literally picture you as a young Bieber.
Bruh. I had the purple
I might
sweater.
use that as the cover photo.
I had the purple sweater with the high top purple Supras. Like I was trying so hard.
I respect
and
it.
I don't even care that people know that anymore because
it's all good.
It's all good now. But
how do you think the art of music has shaped you into a better person?
It developed an unbelievable amount of honesty when I'm explaining things. Like it's not like not to say it's corny when artists like are directly talking about a specific topic in music, but like I learned how to express emotion in a very honest and raw way, because I was kind of an outcast in school and I like didn't really have a voice. Like I wasn't a popular kid. And
just kept to your own.
I kept them. Well, like I feel like a lot of the popular kids in high school just didn't really like me that much. I was just a loser. I'm sure they feel differently now, but
J. Cole said it right, man. You was the man's back in high school. You ain't doing shit.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's all good. College is dope.
Yeah,
but I have my own apartment in LA now.
Yeah, you're good,
and
man.
I'm signed to Sony.
Little humble drop.
Yeah,
but I mean, I guess that is the beauty of music.
But it would have been tighter to be popular in high school than to be signed with Sony. Honestly,
I don't know about that. Now, I think it's definitely got to be good now. But at least the music provides you with a platform to tell that honesty and tell that truth.
Dude, it is so powerful. Like you can literally say whatever you want. Like you can change the world.
Yeah.
As corny as it sounds, like you really can change the world with your voice. And that has when I did that song for Mikey, I was on the front page of USA Today in less than 12 hours. The front page. So
USA Today.
So it was the Home News Tribune, and then USA Today did an article on it.
They picked it up.
So I was on the cover of a newspaper called the Home News Tribune. It was the county's newspaper. So millions of people saw, not millions, hundreds of thousands of people saw the newspaper, and then USA Today did it, ESPN did it. It played at Yankee Stadium during a high school game.
Wow.
Yeah, it blew up. I was on the radio.
All by simply just wanting to help somebody.
Yeah.
Wow.
And every post that I did, I texted Mike and I was like, yo, can I put this out? I was like, I don't want you to feel any sort of way about me doing this, but I actually sent it to him and I was like, yo, I made this song for you. I was like, if you get down on yourself, I want you to listen to it. And then he was like, you have to put this out.
Wow.
And I was like, let's go.
It's powerful, man.
And yeah,
that is powerful.
It did really well. It did really well. And that taught me what your voice can do, what music can do.
One question I was going to ask you was that, especially in the early stages, how did you keep going even when nobody was paying attention or nobody was caring? But I would imagine something like this.
Yeah.
You see so much happen from one song that you're like, okay, if I can create a song that does something like this and it's for a good reason, what could I possibly do just creating my own?
What I learned from that is that people weren't listening to it because it was me. They were listening to it because what it was for. People were buying it for what it was for. So it was one of those things where I at no point thought that it was life-changing for me in terms of my career. I actually Miracles got so big that I stepped away from music because I didn't want to blow up off of it. You
want to be known as
No, I didn't want to blow up off of that song and capitalize off of something that happened to Mike. I literally made that song because I wanted to help him.
Yeah.
If you go look at my back catalog, I did not put out music for 1 year and 6 months after Miracles came out. I recorded music and just played around and had fun, but I put nothing out, not a single song. Because that was January. It was my senior year.
Yeah.
And then I was at West Virginia and I put out no music when I was at West Virginia. And then, so it was a long time.
Wow.
I put out throughout high school, freshman, sophomore, and junior year, I was in a rap duo with this kid named Concept, who's actually one of my best friends now. And I actually hang out with him all the time. He still makes music, and his music is amazing. But we started as a duo. Like, it was my sophomore year, his junior year, and we like played shows, made music together, and like the kids I don't know really how they felt about it. Like, kids came out to our shows and like had fun, and they all got drunk and turned up. But that was like the start of me like really liking music and just like having fun with it. But when he left, we stopped making music together. When he left, because he was older than me, he graduated. We stopped making music together. It was just like one of those things where he was like, "Yo, we should just do our own thing, just like make our own music."
It wasn't a big deal.
Nah, nothing. Like, we stayed best friends throughout the whole thing. But he actually, shout out to Pat. His name's Pat. He just signed a deal with Sony also.
Damn.
Which is so tight. And you know what's crazy is that he didn't put out music for over a year. And
He's just saying making his own music. He's trying to find his own sound.
Yeah, and he totally did. But he played me his album one day, or like some of the records from it. And I was like, "Yo, I'm gonna get you a meeting with Sony." I was like, "I promise you." I was like, I don't know if there's anyone else that I would do that for, no matter what.
Yeah.
But he's the realest person that I've ever met in the music industry. And it's because I came up with him. Like,
yeah, you had a genuine relationship before anything ever.
Yeah.
Anything
and his
ever
music
happened.
is crazy. Like, he's one of my favorite artists. Like, he just has such a dope, like, unique sound. And when I heard it, I was like, "Yo, you don't have a platform right now, but of what you've done for me in terms of helping me grow and like teaching me things, like, I want to help you."
Yeah.
So I got him a meeting with Sony, and he signed like a month later.
How did you first form that relationship with Sony? Because I think
They came to a show.
they came to a show.
Yeah, they came to a show, and it was funny.
Did you know they were there?
No. And you know what's hilarious is I think I just told Sage this story the other day. Is they were outside of the venue, like, and my A&R, the guy who signed me, was outside of the venue. It was at Gramercy Theater. And he was like, "Yo, Indy, come on over." And I was like, "Yeah, dude." I was
You were in
just
communication with him, or no?
no, not at all. I'd never
You just
met him.
heard somebody yell your
Someone
name?
yelling like, "Indy, like, come on over." And like, I just was like, "Oh, hey man, like, how's it going?" And he was like, "No, I'm from Sony." And I was like, "Yeah, like, I got to go inside." Like, I was going out to give someone tickets for the show. And then he like came in, like, after my set, he came into the green room, and he was like, "Hey man, like, I'm actually like from Sony. Like, I want to talk to you about like distributing your music." And I was like, "What?" I was like,
I thought you were bullshitting me out front.
"What's up, man?" Like, nah. And his name's Tyler. So me and Tyler have a really cool relationship. He's a smart ass dude when it comes to music.
Yeah.
But anyway, he came to the show, and then we ended up not signing until like so the show was in like January, I think, or December, and I didn't sign until May. So we met with the label.
You sat on for
we sat on it for a while. We actually did a one-off, like just a single deal, just to like test the waters. They let us do a single with them, and I loved what they did, and they helped the song a lot. So I signed my album. I actually I gave them my last album.
Wow.
And the next album.
Wow.
I leased the rights to the last album for 2 years, for some change. And
do what you gotta do,
yeah.
man. You do what you gotta do.
And I actually signed the next album over to them. And then, so the split is 70-30, 70 me, 30 them. And then I got an advance. And the publishing split is 50-50.
Nice.
So we split publishing 50-50. But I own my masters, which is so
Which is
tight.
huge, right?
And after 2 years, if I don't want to stay with them, I get
Send it back.
100%.
Send it back.
Yeah, I get everything
It's
back.
a little 2-year little thing,
Which
you know,
is crazy
keep it
because
moving.
the album that I gave them charted like number 60 on iTunes Top 100, and it was out for a year, and they still wanted it, the back catalog.
Wow.
Like, they were like, "We don't care."
So they are. It's a relationship that they genuinely believe in.
Yeah.
And what you're creating.
Yeah.
What have you learned since working with them?
Going back to what you asked me about hockey, you need a team.
Yeah. You need
'Cause-
people pushing the buttons and
Yeah.
doing the things on the backside.
Well, there's a
when
lot
you're-
of things as an artist that you don't like to do. I'm very like to the point. Like, I just like making music, and I have a manager. His name's Craig. He does a lot of my like consulting, just like managerial duties. But he also does my social media and stuff like that. And do you know? Have you watched the Blueprint of Pat Corcoran, who's Chance the Rapper's manager?
Yeah.
So my manager Craig is him to the T.
Okay. Just knows his stuff.
He's a genius.
Genius.
He'll call me up with ideas, and I'll be like, "Holy shit!" But like, Sony is like one of the pieces of the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
They handle the distribution, so they like pitch to Spotify playlists and get the music on the platforms, and they just do the stuff that I don't want to do because I don't want to get off my focus.
Yeah. And that's important because you can put all of your attention towards the creative process and not have to worry about all the business and all the nonsense that nobody wants to see.
Yeah.
So I guess the next question would be is what would you like to see happen in 2018 for your own personal music? Is there
my plan, I don't want it to blow up right now.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to have it, like I said to you before, I want to have a steady incline. I want to have a lot of music out before it pops off, because I don't want to be in a situation where all of my old music is so like slept on. Like I want to have 10 songs that have 2 million streams.
You want it to just incrementally grow. You don't want it to just be the one hit wonder and it keeps moving. You want to have
50 million. You know what I mean? Like I want the progression to be slow. That way, when I do have that one that pops off, there's 100 songs in my back catalog that are all fire, because everything before September 16 is gone. It's off the internet. So everything moving forward is like music that I'm very comfortable in.
So you
want
to
to
keep it fresh. You want to
keep it fresh, new, like good music.
Yeah. So when somebody clicks in, they haven't listened to your music before. They're not overwhelmed with hundreds of tracks. They're like, oh, there's 6. I got to listen to these 6. And that's
and when I have the record that pops off, when I have the record that like is the one, there's 100 songs worth of streaming revenue.
Yeah.
Where they go back and listen to 100 different songs.
Yeah.
You know, and instead of making 10, whatever from one song, your whole catalog is generating an immense amount of revenue.
It's time to cook up in 2018 for Indy.
Entrepreneurial skills, man.
If you wrote a book today, what would you title it?
I've already started writing a book.
What's the title of it?
It's called All Figured Out.
Okay.
And I actually started writing it in high school about my friend Nick Jones. He's a photographer, and he dropped out of high school to be a photographer for Red Bull. And the context of the song, I won't talk about it too much, the whole thing, because I haven't written a lot of it in a while.
A book or a song?
A book.
Okay.
I've written 75 pages of it.
Okay.
But the song is inspired by Big Sean's song All Figured Out.
Okay.
And the lyrics of the song mean a lot to me. I don't even think Sage knows that I started writing. I'll show it to her one day.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah. Every chapter that I've written so far is based upon a line in Big Sean's song All Figured Out. And like the first line in the song is, it's crazy if they think you got it all figured out just because your bank account is all figured out. You get that?
Yeah, it's truthful. Just because the money has nothing to do with figuring out who you are. And
there's some amazing lines in that song. But I think I was a junior in high school, which is a long time ago. Like I started writing it a long time ago, and I always go back and jot notes about it. But the reason I started writing it is because I had a friend who dropped out of high school, went to be a photographer. He moved to California, actually, which is ironically.
There you go.
And he had nothing figured out, not a single thing, but he had it all figured out. He really did. In terms of self-happiness, he knew what he wanted to do. Yeah. He knew how he was going to do it, and he knew what it took for him to like get those opportunities. And like me and Nick really don't even like, he's still like my brother. We really like barely talk anymore. Just he's so busy. He actually owns a photo studio in Brooklyn now.
Wow.
So he's killing it. He's got some crazy publishing. But anyway, one day I'm going to finish the book, but I think I've gotten 70, I think I wrote like 72 pages on like,
it's pretty depth. That's some depth to it.
On Word.
Yeah.
Or on Pages on my Mac. But I actually, I gotta get back into it. But when the time is right, like every emotion that's come so far in it has been something like in my life, because I have a lot of people in my life, that I have looked up to in the past or look up to now, that I may think that they have it all figured out, whether it be money or fame or a multitude of things, but they really don't.
Yeah.
And the book is almost a message to myself.
You're writing for your own person.
I'm writing it for me. I don't even care if anyone ever reads it. Like obviously I don't, because I have never finished it. But yeah.
I'm surprised you were able to answer that so quickly, because that tends to be, I don't ask the same questions every podcast, but for the few times that I have asked that, people don't necessarily have it, I guess, the answer just so quickly.
Yeah.
But
I was just going to see if I don't have the Pages app on my phone, I would show you.
Send me the first copy.
I will.
Send me the first copy.
Not a lot of people know that. That's actually one of those things that not a lot of people know. Like, I kept that to my.
That's the point of the podcast. We're trying
nervous.
We're trying to get the inside scoop.
I was nervous. I said to Sage on the flight, I was nervous. And she was like, "No, you're not."
Nah,
she was like, "You performed in front of 1,000 people the other night. You're not nervous." Like,
this is a little bit different though, because this is
real,
open,
so raw.
Yeah, format. They're
tight.
Music you could just sing.
And I said to you like 2-3 months ago, I was like, "Dude, I want to be in the podcast so bad."
It was right when we got here in September.
Yeah. Word up.
It's a matter of time.
We were all busy.
Friend. It was just a matter of time.
I'm hyped.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received, and who was it from?
There's two.
Okay.
One is actually, ironically, and he definitely doesn't even know this, but Huey. We were On the Rocks one night, and there was another rapper there who is also signed to Sony. I won't say his name. And I've played shows with him before.
Okay.
And I saw him outside of the venue, and I walked up to him and I said hi. And he looked at me, I swear to God, and was like, "Who are you?" And like, this artist is like not big.
Okay.
And I was so taken back by it, and like, so
you guys had met before, you'd done shows before.
Met before, bro. We're signed to the same label.
Okay.
We have the same A&R.
Okay, that's a little.
Played shows with him. Like, if you want to know who it is, go back and look at my first Gramercy Theater show. It was with him.
Okay.
And that's the show that ironically Sony came to.
Okay.
Because they were there for him.
I got you.
And they found someone cooler and nicer and not an asshole.
So what did Huey say?
So
to you?
he looked at me and he was like, "You got to put your ego down. If you're gonna let that get to your head, this is not the industry for you, because that person means nothing. They are a nobody. Even though they might have their little following, they are a nobody, and you should never let that get to your head." And we were On the Rocks when he said that to me. I was explaining to him like why I was so mad, because this dude like acted like I was a nobody, like treated me like shit in front of the A&R that wants to. So we've been talking to Cinematic Music Group, which is I don't know if you know Johnny Shipes.
No.
It's another Sony owned label.
Okay.
My A&R Tyler like works with him on a lot of projects, and they want to upstream me to Cinematic, or we've been talking about doing it. And Johnny was there that night at On the Rocks and was so nice to me. And he's like a huge music industry person. And I never, like, when I meet someone in the music industry that like I look up to or like, I never like say that I'm an artist. I just I'm like, "Hi, Ian, nice to meet you," you know?
I get
like,
it.
I think it's
a very competitive industry.
Yeah,
and everybody,
and especially in LA,
it's about
like
what I do, what you do, and
especially in LA too. It's a
I get
popularity
it. I totally
contest.
get it.
But anyway, like, I remember when Huey said that to me, I texted him the next day and I was like, "Yo, you have no idea what that did for me." Because it was like as little of a thing as it was, like I said, he doesn't even know that he did it for me, like, because we only talked about it one time, but I think about that every day. And the second one was Sammy Adams. He sends me some of his new music from time to time, like before it comes out. And like I look up to him a lot, you know, and I want to impress him, you know, as much as I can, and make him feel good about himself. Not that I like feel bad for him. I just like, I want him to know that like I support him fully. And there are a lot of times where he'll send me something and I'll be like, "Yo, this is a fucking hit." And he hit me back one time and he was like, "Yo, stop thinking that everything needs to be a hit." He was like, "I wrote this because I don't think this song is a hit. The song is not a hit." And it was like it was a song that he wrote about someone passing away in his life. And I said to him like, "Yo, this song is a hit." And he was like, don't stop saying that. Everything doesn't need to be a hit. You have to make music because you feel something. And it like really resonated with me. It was like, I learned from that you don't need to make music to
It's
try
not always about a big
song.
Yeah.
No.
It's about what the message.
And it
behind
changed
it.
my songwriting. Him saying that like literally changed the way I write music and the way I go like approach writing songs because it was so honest. So
Huey Mack and Sammy Adams.
and Sammy Adams, yeah.
Dropping knowledge.
Sam is
for
a good ass dude, man.
Yeah. Hey,
He's-
he's from Boston, Massachusetts boys. All right, let's get
Yeah,
it straight.
He's a good dude.
We're good. We're good people out here.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think Indy's purpose is? And I don't want to cut you off. I don't know if you had something else.
No.
you were about to say.
No.
What do you think Indy's purpose is?
To teach other people that you can do whatever you want to do. Like there are no boundaries. There are no boundaries to success. You truthfully can do whatever you want. Doesn't matter who is pressuring you to do something else, who is guilt tripping you to maybe go a different direction in your life, or people are telling you can't do something. Like, no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds corny, like it's such a typical answer,
It's not.
but it's true. Like, my goal is to show kids like that it is very real and it's very possible.
Yeah. You know how when you're growing up and your parents have to tell you, now Ian, don't do this, and they
Yeah.
have to tell you over and over
Yeah.
and over. It's the same thing.
Yeah,
There's a lot of topics, a lot of people's purpose and what their end goals are or why they do what they do. It all sounds the same, but there's a reason to that.
Yeah.
Why does it all sound the same? Because we have to hear it so many times in order for us to truly believe it. And,
Absolutely.
sometimes you have to say it a million times to truly believe that that's what this person's trying to do, or that's what I should be wanting to do.
Because like I come from the high school that I went to. It was like a private high school, and I came from a lot of the kids came from very wealthy home lives. It was never a question that a lot of the kids, like I could see they got what they wanted, like fucking kids like in high school, like with everything they wanted, like and I saw that, and like my home life was different. Like my parents are just very middle class, like just normal. Like my dad was a cop, and now he works for my uncle at the funeral home, and my mom is like a optician, like a eye doctor's assistant or something. I don't know the exact title, but I like being in that environment, like and seeing the way like that those kids like were raised. I think that a lot of the way that they were raised reflected on the way that they treated people that were different.
100%.
Like, dude,
100%.
Dude, I would go to school and like it doesn't matter that I was different. Like I chose to do music. Like that alone, like me putting myself out there, was very difficult because it was so different, and like they were so small-minded, and like everyone had the same life. Like everyone fucking wore the same pants and the same shoes and had the same surfer haircut. And like I was just like
Threw yourself out
I was different. I really just like I was different. And it doesn't, maybe it was corny then because I was just like, I hadn't found the sound of music that I wanted to make. And I was just like trying to rap. It has nothing to do with that. It is that I was an outcast and never let anyone else's opinions change my course of direction. Like I went from being depressed in high school and hating going to school because I wanted so much to be friends with the cool kids and like hang out with the kids whose parents were rich and had Ferraris and all this shit. And I learned now it's like you're getting out of college in 3 months. And granted, some of those kids might have amazing jobs, but I have the best fucking job in the world. Like I do exactly what I want to do right now. And I didn't go to college. Like I moved across the country. I'm alone. Like you can go home to your parents, and if you need a fallback, like it's there.
Yeah.
I gave up everything for this. And
Man,
I gave up the chance to be cool in school. I gave up the chance to finish college and have a normal job. I got tattoos on my hand. I don't care, dude.
Yeah.
I'm happy as fuck.
What it comes down to at the end of the day, it's short term versus long term. Short term, giving up on the bullshit. Long term, where are you gonna be?
Yeah.
Are you gonna be the one that's happy? I saw the same thing as I told you before. I was graduating, taking a leap, just thinking of starting a podcast, driving Uber.
Yeah.
And I had friends of mine that were getting $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 careers right off the bat.
Yeah.
And I look like, who's this kid think he is?
Yeah.
And nothing against the lane they went, nothing against the lane I went.
Exactly.
But in the long term, I know my happiness is there, and I know all I can fucking see is success,
Yeah.
baby.
And if they're talking shit about it now, it's because that they're
we in LA, baby, okay?
bro, like I have a condo in Los Angeles. I live with my best friend, my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And
good,
she's
man.
also hotter than all their girlfriends.
You're living good, man.
Yeah.
This is when
I'm happy, dude.
Yeah,
I'm very
I can
happy.
tell. I can tell you're happy. This is when I reverse the role. I allow my guests to ask me any one question. It could be anything you want to ask. Could be something you've always wanted to ask me. Maybe you never had the platform. 2 rules. Cannot be a question I asked you today, and it can't be about the podcast.
Okay. That's a good one.
Anything.
Anything
you wanna
I would
know.
say
Go as deep as you want. You can. I'm not afraid, bro.
Yeah,
I'll tell you the honest truth about anything.
how do you view the entrepreneurial spirit of your peers? What does that do for you to be around other people like you?
Oh man, I mean, yeah, just like to be surrounded by people that, I guess, even go further more than just, I guess you could say, entrepreneur / passionate people, right?
Yeah.
I think, I mean, that's what this is,
Yeah.
right? That's what this is. That's why this started, because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to talk to passionate people like yourself
Yeah.
and the other 60 plus people and understand why they do what they do and see how it all comes together. And even though they do different things in different industries, why is it that they are happy and they love what they do? And honestly, what I've learned is that when you surround yourself with passionate people, it really doesn't matter what else is happening in
Outside
the world.
of that, yeah.
It's kind of like a high.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's
I agree.
And you know what? I get the competitive nature of LA. You know, everyone's about themselves, and you know,
Yeah.
I'm the actor, this is a musician, I'm an artist, you're an artist. I understand that, but coming from Boston and now being in this environment, it's actually beautiful, man, because I'm just seeing a bunch of people. When I'm looking at this board right now, and you know, I see Neeks out at the Rocks, or I see Ryan, or I see Andrew. I mean, I see any of these guys out, and they are people that are
having fun,
making
crazy talented,
a living doing what they love.
Yeah,
crazy talented in the beginning of their careers.
Yeah,
like that's super inspiring to me. Whereas
it's amazing.
Nothing wrong against Boston. Love that city. Love the people in it. But it wasn't surrounded by totally passionate people like this.
The success stories always come from the people that took a chance.
Yes.
Like they never come from like, I went to the same college that my dad went and I took over his business.
Yeah.
That's not a success story.
You started from the ground up and built something.
Yeah. You did the opposite. Like you went against the norm.
And it wasn't easy. For sure wasn't easy.
And I feel like this is a place where a lot of those people come. You know, like like when I moved here, I came here, like I hate this scene of LA and like the attitude of people. Like I came here for work.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't come here to, you know, show off on social media that I live in Los Angeles. Like I said before, I spend half of my time at home. I moved here to be surrounded by hardworking people
100%.
like yourself and like
100%.
people like Ryan, Arizona, Nico, Connor, like all those, you know, the realm that I'm in. You know, our realms are a little bit different, but they're the same grind.
Absolutely.
You know, I needed to get out of that hole of like where I lived back home because there is no one like me in my hometown. There's no one that, or I wouldn't say no one. There, like I have a few people. Like there's one kid in particular that I went to high school with, that we like really weren't close in high school with. We weren't close in high school, and now we're like super tight. His name's Matt. We were on different spectrums. Like he was on the spectrum that like I was the opposite of what I was on. If you catch my drift. Not that he was like ever mean to me or anything in high school, but he was friends with the cool kids and I was not cool.
Yeah.
And he like he's one of the kids that like came around and they were like, holy shit, like what you're doing is crazy.
Absolutely.
And it's like being surrounded like by kids like Arizona or Ryan or Maddie, Nico, all of these people, like it's amazing. Like it's so motivating. Like I texted Arizona today and I was like, Arizona's Davis. I texted him when I was on my flight today, and I said I was complimenting him about a song, and I said I can never really listen to my friend's music, but honestly, like I'm a fan and I'm always rooting for you. And the reason I show that to you is because these are my peers. These are people that I'm coming up with, and I look up to them. Like I'm a fan of them as much as I am as a friend. And it's like you being around other people that are in the same realm as you is like you're a fan and you're a friend.
It all full circles.
Yeah.
All full circles.
For sure.
And I think that's important. Is I could spend an entire episode just talking about it, but I think if anything people can take away is that when you surround yourself with passionate people, you somehow, some way find your passion, and you also just have good energy that continuously flows around you.
Like it was so important to me to have like important people. Like my girlfriend lives with me, and like that is something that's important to me. Like having a sort of normalcy in my life, because like as much as like she is my girlfriend, like she's my my best friend.
I get it.
So having that like part, like that normal part of life, is so important in this industry. Yeah. Like like I said before, none of the whole clout shit has mattered to me. Like I'm here to work, and then I go home and I sit in my room, and so like being around that environment is like, it's definitely taxing because some people are different than I am. Like I really don't go out and party that much. Like I kind of stay
away from it.
But I'm like looking at the board and I'm seeing all these stupid talented people, and it's crazy, like this is why I moved here. It's to be around all that.
They're all here, and that's why I love LA. To get into the closing questions, picture frame on the wall 10 years from now, you're in it. What else and who else do we see within that picture, and where is it taken?
10 years. How many dogs do we want?
couple dogs.
My parents, my brother, Sage. Hopefully she'll marry me by then. She said no. Okay. Some kids. Like I want like 2 kids. I want a dog, and I want it to be in the backyard of the house that I grew up in, and I want to own it.
That's awesome.
I want to own it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So stay back to the roots in New Jersey. I respect that.
I'm not gonna raise my kids in LA. We are not raising our kids.
They can come visit LA, but you want to raise them in the environment that you grew up in.
Yeah, for sure.
Where can people find you on social media? Twitter, Instagram, everything is at Indy Raps.
Okay. Which sucks because people are like, you're Indie Raps, and I'm like, no, I'm Indy. The Raps is a fucking pun on like play on words.
Yeah.
I rap. I'm Indy. Indie Raps.
Yeah. Don't get it twisted.
Every time I do something in my house, my brother like will take a picture of it and like put it on his social media, and it'll be like me cooking an egg, and it'll be like Indy cooks. Like
that's pretty funny.
Everything like Indy cleans,
Indy drives, Indy cooks, Indy sleeps. I like that. Yeah. I'm gonna start.
Shout out Ray.
I'm gonna start using that on you. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Last question for you.
Yeah.
What 2 to 3 pieces of advice would you give to somebody that is trying to find a passion, trying to find a purpose, hasn't necessarily found it just yet? What would you say they do?
I would say number 1 is to find people like you and be inspired by them, because that will help you stay on track. Number 2 is to make sure that what you're choosing to do is chosen for the right reasons, and that you're doing it for yourself, because that is the most self-fulfilling thing, is when you're doing it for you and not for anyone else. And number 3 would be to have fun while doing it, because if you don't have fun, then it's work.
You gotta enjoy the hell out of the ride.
Yeah, because
it's a grind, but you have to find a way to.
Dude, this is the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna be a rapper when I'm 60.
That's fine.
I mean, I might own like a couple of Taco Bells or something tight. Like I'm.
Hey, Indy Taco.
Indy Bells, dude. You know how much Taco Bell I eat?
I don't even want to know. We'll say that. We'll say that for the next one. But I appreciate you coming through, man.
Dude, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm still nervous. I'm fucking with
Well, the good thing is,
no, it was great, man. And I hope that you have, more success with this and the most success that you can have, and that you bring me back to put me on when you're, because this might pop off before me.
Hey, you might be the episode that pops it off. You never know.
I mean,
you never
if
know.
anyone was gonna be the episode that pops off or popped off, it would have been Matty Loman. But
Shout out to Matty Loman.
Shout out Matty Loman, man. That was a good ass dude.
Awesome. Well, thanks guys for checking in, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Thank
Indy,
you. My
you,
G.
man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
See you guys.